Good morning. Thank you for joining me for a brief review of The Golden Robe by Tanith Lee. My understanding, gained from the internet entirely, is that The Golden Robe was written in 1983 and it was first published in this very collection, read as Blood or Tales from the Sisters Grimmer. We start in this book with an unlikable... Is she the protagonist? No, she's an unlikable character. She's a witch. She lives in this big house. And we hear that through the years she's developed her arts and her knowledge. She studies something. We don't quite know what that something is, but we know that people who know about her academic pursuits revile and despise her, and no one wants much to do with her. She lives in this enormous house all alone with a servant of Eastern descent who has no tongue, and they talk by a sign language known only to themselves. So the servant comes to her one day and says that there's someone at the front door. It's a man who wants her assistance with some herbs because his wife's become pregnant, and he claims that he's worried for her safety. Turns out he isn't. She is indeed his wife, but basically he's been prostituting her to earn the money, and he doesn't want to lose that money as she grows large with child. Our main antagonist, my lady, ferrets out from his mind the details of these facts, as well as the detail that his wife is very, very beautiful. So instead of giving him herbs to abort the child, what she does is she promises to pay him every month while his wife is pregnant, and when she's given birth, the child is to come to her. And when that happens, she names the child Jasper because of the health potions that she provided the child's mother with while she was pregnant. And she brings up the little girl Jasper in a room with all possible luxury and books and musical instruments, all possible comfort, except for human attachment. The only person she ever sees is my lady, and my lady is cold and unfriendly towards her, but pretty much entirely truthful about where she came from and so forth. So Jasper grows up, and on her 13th birthday, all she's ever seen is her room in the house and a bit of the garden. The garden becomes a feature later on. Anyhow, on her 13th birthday, my lady takes her downstairs into this mysterious basement, which is her scriptorium, I think they call it, her workshop. And she tells Jasper that the reason she's had her brought here and educated is to be the serving lady for this particular god-ish. And she takes her through to a nook and shows her a statue of this extremely gorgeous man who is the god, though, as we the readers know, but Jasper doesn't, having been kept innocent, very naive and innocent, is that this god is the god of the underworld, so probably not what most people would think of as a god. No books. No books. I love birds. So after that, for a year, until her 14th birthday, Jasper does everything, and she falls deeply in love with this beautiful image of the statue. Now, my lady then escalates this. She brings her down into the scriptorium, lays her in a pentacle, and through a slash on her wrist, and goodness knows what else, sends her down into the underworld. This is a gorgeous scene. So Jasper's lying there in the circle, and she suddenly realizes that as well as being the basement of a house, this is actually the top room of a tower, and the tower extends down, slowly narrowing to the base until the base is a needle. She goes to the window and leans out, and her golden hair falls all the way down to the bottom and knits together in a ladder. At the same time, these red butterflies are flying from her down to the ground. The imagery is spectacular. It's gorgeous. It's stunning. And it's all deeply fearful to the reader, though not to Jasper, who's innocent at that stage. Anyhow, we hear that the reason that this witch is doing all this is to earn the approval of this lord, who she calls Angamal, the Prince of Darkness, she needs probably power or knowledge from him, and she's been seeking it her whole life without him ever responding. So she's created Jasper as a way to call the Prince of Darkness to her and offer this as a tribute in return for what she wants. So pretty malign overall. Anyhow, over the next year, at the end of this event, Jasper is essentially rejected, or at least the witch interprets it as a rejection by the Prince of Darkness. And the witch is furious. Jasper is completely and utterly despairing. And over the next year, she spends all her time in darkness wandering the gardens until one day a man slips in. This is an ordinary man, maybe a rabbit hunter or something like that. Never actually known. And he gently and carefully woos Jasper and tries to convince her to leave the garden out into the real world. Now, Jasper isn't saying no, but she isn't really saying yes. They don't do anything dramatic or carnal or anything like that. They just walk and talk, and they sit, and sometimes she cries on his shoulder. So it's what we would think of as pretty innocent. But in the meantime, she's fallen in love, perhaps a little bit, not emphasized, with this person. And as she does that, her worship for the statue of the Prince of Darkness wanes. So next time, and I think this is her 15th birthday, when the witch takes her down and prepares to completely sacrifice her life in a last attempt to get Angamal to come to her, and incidentally take Jasper, mostly give the witch everything she wants. She slashes both her wrists and sends her down into darkness. And I'm not going to tell you how that goes, because you're going to have to go out and find this story. It might even be on the internet, and read it, because it's a fantastic mythic fairy tale. Is it a fairy tale retelling? The internet says it's a Rapunzel retelling. I will take it. There's gold here, there's a ladder, but it's like no Rapunzel you ever met. And Rapunzel is a fairly malign story in many ways, up until Disney got it and turned it into Tangled, which is a great movie, but still. Anyhow, there is the element of the witch keeping Jasper isolated, not in the top of a tower, but in a house. So the isolation is as complete. There's the element of a prince coming to rescue her. Aha, but which prince? The prince who is actually a mortal man in the garden who only calms her by telling her that he's a prince of a far city? Or the real prince, the Prince of Darkness, down below, who may, in fact, come up and claim her? How does it end? How does it end? Don't go on the internet and ask it. Find the story, read it. It's not that enormous. Every word is delightful. And it is a totally immersive, gorgeous, lush, wildly weird story. It is like no Rapunzel you have ever read, and the Brothers Grimm never did it this good. So that is the golden rope. As you will estimate, the golden rope is indeed her hair, but in an unexpected twist at the end. Yes, okay. One more from Red as Blood, the Tanith Lee story collection that I am reading for May, which was the year in which Tanith Lee sadly passed away. Thank you for watching. Read good books, read great short stories, and I'll see you again soon.